The scene opens with a shot of the protagonist carefully writing words which meaning we are oblivious to. Frequent shots of the writing process establish that this action is the core to narration, as a montage of memories work as a thought process, as the writing has provoked imagery of an apparent loved one. The first establishing shot of our protagonist centralises around the fear in his eyes, as a candlelit generates a glistening glow which accentuates his pupils. The intensity of the shot informs the audience of the heartfelt emotion carried by the character. To put emphasis on the upcoming montages, I exceeded the duration of the close-up of Jack so that his presence doesn't lose itself within the fast-paced motion of his memories. I created a quick-cut montage of Jack writing to coincide with the words over and over again. This mirrors the magnitude of passion and love he has for Yolanda. Boosting the pace of the edit captivates the audience as it requires the audience's full attention. I'm aware that these cuts do not match frame-wise. However, this was intentional. Its chaotic manner supports our protagonist's intimate connection with his lasting thoughts of his lover, and perhaps his heartache he is feeling. To differentiate between the present state and our character reminiscing, I overlaid some additive dissolve effects to create a dreamlike state between cuts. This made shots appear tranquil and heavenly-like.
So completely wrapped up, bound and absorbed in everything which came from her, that I no longer cared whether it was day or night, or whether I was dead or alive on this old earth of ours.
To establish the location for the graveyard scene, I chose a wide shot which framed all characters. This shot depicts the awkwardness of the occasion as characters position themselves against one another, almost creating tension and displaying a lack of loving support. Similar to the opening of my edit, I decided to hold the camera on a shot of Jack, which follows him gently placing a rose against the grave. The smoothness of this shot contrasts vastly against the manic sound of the digger, thoughtlessly burying the body. I chose to exclude the communication between the gravedigger and Jack to illustrate how the protagonist is unfazed by the eccentric character and, due to the sorrow he is feeling, simply reacts by appearing motionless.
From dust we come, to dust we return.
In preparation for this editing assignment, I took time jotting down notes regarding certain shots. To really demonstrate the emotion from the protagonist, I thought carefully about shots which focus solely on his emotions towards his loss, rather than the characters that surround him. For example, the script reads, "Jack looks over to the graveyard digger astonished," and I chose to inflict this reaction by framing his emotion using a close-up shot. During the mirror scene, I had a few issues with sound. I could clearly hear the footsteps of the crew members as the camera operator follows a character walking. To reduce the excessive footsteps, I used the pen tool to decrease and increase the sound volume where necessary. This scene in particular required me to match the eye line between Yolanda and Jack, therefore taking into account the distance of our characters that are separated by the mirror. Capturing both characters locking eye contact increases the intimacy and therefore inflicts more pain for Jack as his mind is playing tricks on his grieving state. It is noticeable that the script contains themes of love, grief, and supernatural manifestations. The feeling of love is represented with a multitude of quick cuts of Yolanda, supporting his devotion he speaks fondly of. Intimate close shots present the woman in an angelic light, and the smooth cuts provides a sense of her lingering in his mind, similar to a daydream. The theme of grief is featured early on in the edit, as Jack waits anxiously by her bed, with a motionless glare. This theme follows throughout the edit. His mood becomes subdued and withdrawn from reality. The final graveyard scene takes a supernatural turn. The fast pace of the ghostly appearances indicates that Jack is struggling with his grief, and therefore entering a state of hallucination, as truth and imagined become unclear. To display passing of time, I applied a dissolve effect over the lasting shot of Jack resting beside Yolanda's grave, and additionally inserted birds chirping to indicate that time has passed through to the following morning.